In the last two editions of the Zelda franchise, our boy Link has gained many, and I mean many, abilities, some more useful than others.
Whoa! This is worthless.
It's less than worthless, my boy.
Merry Christmas everyone, and today I'm going to be ranking all of the rune abilities from Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Just like the previous videos, these runes are going to be ranked in terms of utility, which again is subjective because depending on how you play both Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, your tier list may look very different to mine. If they do, please leave it down in the comments. Alright, since it's Christmas time, I think it's only thematically correct if we start with the Cryonis rune. Now, as many of you will know, the Cryonis rune is basically a rune ability from Breath of the Wild, and it allows Link to create pillars of ice from any body of water. I mean, most body of water. Sometimes it doesn't work. But it can serve as many... It can serve for many purposes. It can help Link cross a river if he doesn't have enough stamina. He can climb upon that ice pillar to give him a reprieve when he doesn't want to be swimming. It can also be used as pillars for protection against enemy attacks. It can be used to solve various puzzles in shrines. It's pretty useful, but I'm gonna have to put it in the B tier. The reason why I don't really think it deserves A or S tier is because of its over dependence on water. And because if you think about it, due to that weakness of it, it can only be used in certain parts of the map. There are some areas of the map, like the Gerudo region, where it's completely useless. You won't be able to find any use for it. Because either if you do find a body of water, the ice will just melt straight away, or it just won't be as useful as anything else. So I'm gonna have to put it in B tier. Now next, let's go for Magnesis, okay? Magnesis is a very useful ability. It can allow you to pick up any metal objects and use them to either... You can either... If it's a box... If it's a metal box, you can make it rise and then drop it to obtain what's inside without having to use any of your weapons to break it. You can even use the metal boxes and other metal objects as weapons against other mobs. They do big damage depending on how you use it, but it is kind of hard to control. You have to time it correctly, otherwise the mobs will attack you before you have a chance to use it. It's mainly used for shrines. I remember mainly using it for shrines because most shrines require it. And aside from that, I didn't really find much use for it. It was useful in most situations where you need to lift an object, but I don't know. I think I might put it in... It's either B or C tier. Especially when you compare it to Ultra Hand. I feel like in terms of abilities, I'm gonna have to put it in C. Maybe I'll change it later. But for now, it stays in C tier. Now for the camera. The camera, it's either you love it or you hate it, because I only ended up using it because of in conjunction with the sensor, because once you take a picture with the camera, it doesn't just allow you to store it in the album, it also registers whatever you take. It also allows you to register the item in the photo, which allows the Sheikah sensor to track it down next time. So let's say you take a picture of a shrine and you want to find more shrines. Because you've taken a picture of the shrine, now you can use the sensor to find that shrine. So when it came to finding treasures like treasure chests and diamonds and other stuff like that, I used it a lot. But for the most part, I didn't really use it for anything else. But it was handy when in the late game you're looking for all the stuff you want to finish it. During the game, you won't really find much use for it. It's mainly in the late game that you use it, at least in my personal opinion. So I'm gonna have to give it... I'm gonna give it a B rank too. I'm gonna give it a B rank. It was handy. Now here's why I'm gonna get a lot of hate. This is the one. What's it called? The Motorbike Zero, something like that. It's an amazing feature from the DLC. It's very good. The fact that you can ride a motorbike in a medieval setting is pretty awesome, and the fact that it's faster than a horse and it can be used to attack. But I'm gonna have to give it a really low rating. Like, I'm gonna have to give it D tier. One thing, how late you get it in the game. To get the bike, you need to finish all the shrines, you need to finish all the champion, like, trials and all that. And by that time, you've already finished most of the side quests. You don't really have much use for... You don't really have much use for a bike. If that makes sense. If you finish most of the shrines, you've probably been doing all the crocs as well. I mean, most of them by this point. So, and even like some of the side quests as well. Some of the side quests you have to do in order to unlock shrines. So a large majority of the quests you've already done. You don't... What I'm trying to get at is that by the time you get it, it's pretty much useless. Like, it's just there for you to just ride around and like go around Hyrule fast as possible. But you don't really have much use for it. It would have been much better if they had made it available a little earlier on, where you still had important stuff to do. Because I was always looking at like the other champions, like Urbosa and Daruk. They had their own divine beast, and Link, he's the one who holds the Master Sword, and he doesn't have a bike. He doesn't have a divine beast, and this is supposed to be his divine beast. It would have been much better if they had, like, when you finish all of the divine beasts, yeah, they allow you to unlock it before you go fight Ganon or something like that. That would have been much better. Then you could have had like your own divine beast and you could have charged in. It would have been like probably an epic cutscene or something like that. But instead, they wait until you finish the entire game, finish all the shrines, all the side quests, and you're just there, just completed most things, and you don't really have use for it. If you still had quests and stuff to do, it would have been very helpful. And I don't know. And also, the thing that is also annoying is that the fuel, it needs fuel. You need to kill guardians, which can be like kind of tedious, because like you can put anything as fuel, but it will require a lot of it. So like if you take wood or something like that, it won't really be that useful to you. It won't really fill up the gauge. You need to go defeat guardians, which is annoying. So in total, I'm gonna have to give it a D rank. At first I wanted to put it F rank, but that's too harsh. I did enjoy riding the bike. It was pretty fun, like getting around Hyrule at super speeds. But again, you could always teleport for that. So I'm gonna give it a D rank. Now, I'm gonna take the two bombs as S rank. They're both the same thing. I'm gonna put them in S rank because these things are extremely useful. They can be used for many different things. They can be used to like stun and like break apart large groups of enemies. They can be used to break down rocks that give you access to areas you wouldn't have access to before. You can also like use them to cut down trees. Like that was very helpful in the beginning of the game. And the fact that you have one that you can throw and you have one that you can detonate from a distance, that definitely puts it in S rank. I use these two a lot. Like these were the bread and butter of Breath of the Wild. If you didn't have a weapon, if your weapon broke, these were your go-to things. But you had to be careful as well, because if you detonated them too soon, they would blow up in your face and kill you. I definitely died a few times because I wasn't careful of the bombs, especially in the early game when you have low health. And yeah. What else was I gonna say? I wanted to say something else. Yeah, if I remember, I'll come back to it. Now the Stasis. Now this is another S tier rune, because I can't tell you Stasis by itself. If it was by itself, I would probably give it a B tier. But because of the upgrade, I'm considering the upgrade as well. The fact that you can freeze enemies and like just do a bunch of damage while they can't move and it stacks, and then you just watch them die. That's so useful, especially in the Lino fights. I can't tell you how many times Stasis has saved me in like the Lino fights, and the Lizalfos. The Lizalfos are so annoying because of how fast they move. Being able to stun them will definitely give you the like the breathing room you need to be able to attack them. So yeah, Stasis goes into S tier. Now here comes the Tears of the Kingdom runes. Now for the first one, we're gonna have to go with Ultra Hand. Ultra Hand, it's definitely gonna go into it's either I'm not sure, it's S or A tier. I feel like S tier is getting a little bit full right now, so I'm gonna put in A tier. But basically what it allows you to do, it allows you to pick up objects. It's basically Magnesis, but better. That's basically what it is. It allows you to pick up pretty much any objects. It allows you to like stick them together and create like builds. You can get really creative what you make. You can make fortresses, you can make like little vehicles with like the Zonai tech. You can basically use it for pretty much anything. There's like, it's useful in all regions. There's most situations you can solve by using the Ultra Hand. So I feel actually it's probably gonna be S tiers. I feel like it's a little bit better than Stasis, to be honest. It's a little bit better because of just how versatile it is. Stasis, you need to be able to track the opponent down. You need to have your cursor on it, which is going to be kind of difficult because if they move around you could miss, and that could really like cause trouble. So I'm gonna have to put Ultra Hand there. Now for the next one, I'm gonna go with the fuse ability. The fuse ability, I'm gonna put it in A tier. It is very, very, very good because you can use it to basically build all sorts of weapons. It makes you so versatile depending on like the materials that you get and like the combinations you make. You can pretty much solve most situations. Like if you're in a situation where you need to mount ice, you could put a ruby or like something like that on an arrow or a sword, and it'll cause it to have fire attributes which can melt the ice around you. It's very versatile. The reason why I didn't give it an S is because of like the materials. You need to have like the required materials, and some of the really good ones like the Lino horns and like the silver bokoblin horns, it's like you can only get near the end game, which means you won't be able to do like big damage unless you find diamonds or something and fuse them together. Like if you get really creative with the combinations, I'm sure there's some OP combinations I haven't thought of. But on my experience, it was kind of annoying having to like find like most of the resources that were available to you early game and even late game. They weren't really good. Each material has its own like material attribute, like its own material value, like how much damage it will add to a weapon and the effects it will have. And most of them you'll have to fight like really tough bosses, like the dragons and the Linos. So I feel like I'll put in an A tier. It was very useful. I had a lot of uses for it, and yeah, it was just an all-round good rune link. Now here's the rewind. The rewind is, I'm gonna put it in S tier because I use this thing like crazy, especially in the shrines. There are some parts in shrines where you need to jump over large pits, but you could completely cheat the system by doing one thing. You could use Ultra Hand to levitate an object to the other side of like the pit that you need to cross, and then you can use rewind to and then you can stand on it and use rewind and like use that to hover yourself over to the other edge. I cheated so many shrines using rewind because it's just so broken. You could reverse like the flow of like enemy projectiles. Like I remember, I don't know if it was a rock. I remember Bokoblin was throwing like a rock or something like that at me, or like it was someone throwing something at me, and I used the rewind, and it sent it back at them, and that was pretty OP. Ah yes, I remember, it was from the Goron boss. The Goron boss, do you know that big rock thing that attacks you? It sends like huge rocks at you, and you could just send it right back at it. And it's pretty useful for most situations. You can use them to like levitate yourself back to the Sky Islands without having to teleport. You can use them to access like islands you wouldn't have access to otherwise. And it's just an all-round like great rune. It's pretty good. Now, here comes the Ascend. The Ascend, I have mixed feelings about it. On one hand, it's gotten me out of many sticky situations. Like sometimes when I'm in a cave and I don't know where I am and I want to escape, I'm surrounded by enemies. you can use it to escape. But it's also been like kind of my bane, because there's some situations where I wanted to escape, but then for some reason it just wouldn't let me. Either it was too high up, or like the surface I was trying to ascend to was too uneven. Like if you look, like I don't know if any of you have experienced this, but if you go into caves and they have like uneven ceilings, they won't let you go through, because I guess it only allows you to ascend through certain like if it's even. So there's a lot of times where I was like, okay, I see a few enemies, let me fight them. If it goes wrong, I can just ascend and escape, only to find out that I can't, because the ceiling is either too high, or it's like it's uneven and I can't use it, which led to my death on many occasions. So I want to give it an A rank because of one thing as well, because it stops time when you're ascending, so you have time to look around your surroundings and gauge whether it's worth it actually going through it or not. And also, depending on the distance, let's say you ascend through like a mountain, like it's gonna take you like a really long time to get there. Like the animation is gonna be very long, because you know it makes sense, you have to ascend a long distance, but it really gets tedious, like especially if you accidentally cancel your ascend. It can mean that you have to go back down and go back up again, which means that you're gonna waste time watching that animation over and over again. I think I'm gonna give it an A rank, because I think personally all the bad things that happened to me was me not looking ahead and the skill issue, honestly. So I'm gonna give it an A rank. I was originally gonna give it like a D rank or a C rank, but I changed my mind. I'm gonna give it an A rank. This is how it goes. Now here's the auto build. Now this goes in conjunction. I'm gonna have to give it a C rank. Actually, no, it's gonna be a B rank, because it goes into conjunction with the ultra hand. Whatever you use to build like an ultra, let's say like you build like a hover bike, or like you build like a specific build that you want to save, auto build will save it, and like you can use it to like rebuild that object. You won't have to rebuild it from scratch all over again. All you have to do is give ultra hand the materials, and it will build it for you. You won't have to spend time rebuilding the same thing. Like me, I used like a hoverboard for my entire ventures, and it took me a long time to build it initially. So like it would have been a real pain having to rebuild it over and over and over again. You can either pin this, you can either highlight the ones that you want to keep specifically, so that it doesn't like disappear, because I do know that if you build too many things, it will like delete the history. So if you want to save one, you can save it, so it's pretty handy. So I'm gonna put it in B tier because of one thing. It's, if you don't have the materials for it, you have to go get zonite, and that's really tedious for me. I don't know if I'm just lazy, but like I really hate the fact that you always, for me, my personal experience, you're always missing at least one. Like let's say if you want to build like a bike and it costs you like, you don't have any of the materials for it, you didn't go to like the drops to get like the zonite materials, you have to go into the depths and get the zonite. But even so, you're always missing like one or two. Like let's say it costs you 40 zonite, you're gonna have like 38, which means you're gonna have to go all the way down to the depths and find different ones, and it's just so tedious, which is why it's not gonna go into A tier and any of the other stuff, because of just like how much resources is required for you to build it. Now you have the Amiba. The Amiba one, depending on like, in Breath of the Wild, the Amiibo would be S tier. It would definitely be S tier, because you can't find these. They give you exclusive items that you can't find naturally anywhere else. You can't find them, like the what's it called, the champions helmets and the other stuff, like, and the wolf link. You couldn't find them in like Breath of the Wild naturally. But in Tears of the Kingdom, the amiibo would be like, it's honestly F tier in my opinion. It's F tier because almost every single amiibo item, except for like Wolf Link and stuff like that, you can find naturally if you look for it. It's either a quest or it's either something like that. And the fact that you can't use it if you don't go out and buy like amiibos, which we all know how expensive they are. So like I'm gonna take it as a whole. I'm gonna put in F tier because yeah, you can get exclusive items, but like you're not even guaranteed. That's the stress of it. I remember doing like amiibos in Breath of the Wild. Like you'd have to like reset your game because like you can only use it like once a day, and like it was kind of like a gacha system. You could get the things that you really wanted, like the Fierce Deity set, or you could get like raw meat or something stupid like that. So I'm gonna give it FTI. It definitely frustrated me a lot, me having to like reset over and over again, like waiting multiple days in order to get the specific item I want. So like I'm gonna put in F tier because that was not enjoyable, and it's not enjoyable in Breath of the Wild, and it's almost completely redundant in Tears of the Kingdom. Now here we have like the navigate. Sorry for the icon, I couldn't find like the icon for navigate or the mapping route. It basically allows Link to like see the map in Tears of the Kingdom, see like the Sky Islands and stuff like that. It's gonna go into S tier because if you really think about it, it's funny that we're so dependent on the map. It doesn't matter how long you spend in Hyrule, you're always gonna kind of need the map to get around. You won't know where everything is. It's kind of impossible. And like, where would we be without the map? Where would we honestly be without the map, to be honest with you? Nowhere. We just get lost constantly. Like, I saw a few YouTubers trying to get through, I forgot their names. I saw a few YouTubers trying to beat Breath of the Wild with Tears of the Kingdom without using the map, and they had like a hard time. So like, it's honestly gonna have to go into S tier. It's gonna be like, it's honestly like gonna have to be like the number one in S tier, because where would we be honestly without navigation or the map? Now this is how it looks for now. Like, I feel like I feel like S tier is kind of like saturated right now. I feel like I need to move a few things. Camera, nah. I'm moving camera to E tier. It's only useful near the end game. I was not using that, unless you're a completionist. Like, I was a completionist in Breath of the Wild. I finished everything, got all the Koroks, got like all the albums and stuff like that. But like, it's still I hardly use this thing. That's my personal opinion. You guys may disagree. If you do, leave a comment. But like, this is how it looks like, and I'm gonna have to put in E tier. Now, ooh, I still feel like S rank is kind of like saturated. They gave such good abilities, but like, one has to go. Maybe. I think Rewind will have to go into A tier. We're going to the top of A tier, because it wasn't like, I kind of rank it. Stasis ranks above it because like you can stop enemies, and that's really helpful. You could argue that it depends on like how strong the enemy is, because the stronger the enemy is, the less time it will be frozen. So like still like a few seconds, especially in high-paced battles near the end game, it can mean the difference between life and death and give you the breathing room you need. But like Rewind, the enemy can still move around when it sends like the projectiles. It can still miss. So like, I'll have to put it in A tier. And yeah, that's the tier list. That's the tier list. So yeah, this is my tier list. And again, I remind you, this is my own opinion. Your tier list may look very different to mine. I'll probably link my tier list down in the description if you want to do your own. And don't forget, if you think I've overrated or underrated a Rune, please comment down below, like and subscribe. Have a very, very Merry Christmas, and I'll see you all next time.